like at 5, then we change it to 5:30. So we're always open to parents' feedback as to what works for them. So I want to make this all work for you because it's very important that the parents are engaged in the student's life.
All right. If you're just joining us, this is May 23rd, our Parent Advisory Committee meeting with President Phoebe and Vice President Vania, and we have some parents online, and we also have Nurse Maura. That's what we call her affectionately, Nurse Maura. Her last name is Jean, but we call her Nurse Maura. You mentioned, Phoebe, survey and input from parents. I'd like to share this input. I want to thank the parents for. In the beginning of this month, we sent the principal Lazzareski actually sent this out, and I want to share these when you're ready. What you had to say about our school culture.
All right, so I'm going to give the floor to Nurse Maura. I have the slide up here for this space just for you, Nurse Maura.
Okay. All right. I don't really have any slides today. This was kind of a last minute thing. Thanks for bringing me in at such late notice. I just kind of wanted to go over a few things as we wrap up the school year and touch base on a couple of concerns and things that have come up. Particularly, I'm going to go over a little bit about COVID. There seems to be a little confusion out there with calls and just things that our parents are concerned about. So, and also we don't know what's going to happen in the fall. So these protocols that we have right now, they may change, but I don't see them changing that much. The DOH has said that we all need to get comfortable with a little bit of a higher risk. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't even pretend to have any idea. But I don't think these are going to change that much going forward. This is a virus that's been with us for quite a while now. It's changing, it's mutating. We don't know what's going to happen. So, so as it stands right now, anybody that tests positive for COVID-19, even if they're vaccinated, they have to stay home and isolate for 5 days. That's a 5-day minimum. You can return to school on day 6. The student can return to school on day 6 if they don't have any symptoms and they've been fever-free for 24 hours without the use of fever-reducing medications. So if you're still having a fever, if you still have to take medications, we're going to extend the excused quarantine absence. We don't want anybody back at school when they're still sick. It's not good for the student. It's not good for the class. It's not good for the other students and staff. So we will extend that quarantine. That's no problem. You get in touch with me. My student still isn't feeling well, and we're going to just excuse that, continue to excuse that. COVID quarantines are still excused absences. On day 6, if you come back, if your student is feeling better and ready to come back, they have to wear a well-fitting mask, and they have to wear that mask for the next 4 days until day 10. If they come back on day 7, they would wear the mask for 3 days until day 10, and so forth. But the idea is that, if you have COVID, you should be wearing a well-fitting mask for 10 days. Okay, so that's, if they're unable to wear a mask for whatever reason, if your student says, I've got asthma, I can't breathe, I don't really want to wear a mask when I return to school on day 6, then they have to quarantine for 10 days, okay? And those are the rules as far as the DOH goes. We don't really know for how long people are infectious, and this is just to keep everybody as safe as possible. So the CDC recommends an isolation period of 10 to 20 days for any students that were severely ill with COVID. So if they had moderate to high fever, if they were hospitalized, if your student has chronic bronchitis or asthma, and they got really sick with COVID, in their best interest to keep them out of school for 10 days. Okay?
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to... ¿Hay algunas personas aquí que hablan español y necesitan la traducción o pueden entender el inglés que ella está hablando? Okay. At least, okay. Padín. Okay, está bien. So in a nutshell, so we just be brief, okay? Can you just say briefly that again, but just the core of the message so I can translate it.
Sure. So if your student tests positive for COVID,
Si su estudiante toma la prueba de COVID y la prueba sale positiva,
there's a 5-day minimum quarantine period.
hay una cuarentena de 5 días, el mínimo de 5 días.
If the student is still sick after the 5 days,
Si el estudiante todavía está enfermo después de 5 días,
we will extend the quarantine period and excuse the rest of the days for their while they're sick.
podemos extender el permiso de estar fuera de la escuela. Se considera como unas ausencias excusadas. Thank you,
Okay.
Nurse Maura.
The student, you would get in touch with me and let me know. Keep me
Favor
posted.
de estar en contacto con la enfermera. Ustedes tienen su correo electrónico o pueden llamar a la escuela a 729-6520.
And upon return to school, the student needs to wear a well-fitting mask for up to a period of 10 days. In other words, if they return on day 6, they need to wear a mask for 4 days until day 10.
Tiene que continuar usando una mascarilla por un total de 10 días. Así que, por ejemplo, si llegan a la escuela el día 6, tiene que seguir usando la mascarilla hasta 7, 8, 9 días, 4 días más.
And I know there's a little bit of confusion. People sometimes say to me, even if they're vaccinated, and the vaccine isn't really preventing COVID. It's preventing severe symptoms of COVID.
Hay una confusión en el mercado de ideas de que la vacuna le previene, es una vacuna contra COVID. En verdad no es, es para como aguantar el despliegue de síntomas severos.
And
Apaciguarlas.
I'd also want to point out that, there's been a lot I overhear a lot of things. And, some people say, well, if you don't want to get your child vaccinated, sometimes it's not even just that. There are some students that and admin and staff that can't be vaccinated because they have certain conditions that they cannot get the COVID vaccine, or they take certain medications where the COVID vaccine is not going to offer them the level of protection that you or I are going to get.
Hay algunas personas que en verdad no pueden recibir la vacuna por diferentes razones médicas. Puede ser por una mezcla de medicamentos que ya están tomando, que puede interferir con su sistema, y otras razones médicas por las cuales no pueden, no le permite tomar la vacuna.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions
¿Alguna
about?
preguntas?
Because I know it's been a difficult.
Yes, I do. Carmen, I have a question. Hello?
Go ahead.
I made him Baptist with Mom. He had COVID, but he tested negative on Saturday. When you test negative, does that mean you're negative, or you have to keep having the precaution?
There's no real need to retest after students have COVID.
I did.
Because you can test positive for COVID for up to 90 days after you've had COVID. So, just because it's really complicated, but we go more by symptoms. So if he's completed his quarantine, he's done his 5-day mandatory quarantine, and he's feeling better, he can come back to school.
He felt just 1 day runny nose, nothing else, not fever, not throat, nothing.
That's good. I mean, that's really good. I mean, I have students that they test positive, but they don't have any symptoms at all, but they still
Yeah.
have to quarantine for 5 days.
Yeah, he did. That just was I wasn't
Because
doubt
they can still
about
spread
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an infectious disease, so,
Or maybe it was a flu. Who knows?
it's like any other infectious disease. It's going to have a different effect on everybody. People are
Okay.
people that are going to get really sick, and there are other people that are not even going to have any symptoms at all. Unfortunately, we have no way of knowing. So
All
that's
right.
why it's in place.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Did I
Nurse
do-
Maura.
Thanks.
I hope I answered your question.
If you have
Yes,
any,
you did. Thank you.
Okay.
if anyone had any specific questions, they can reach out to Nurse Maura.
You can call
Thank you
me.
so much for joining us today, Nurse Maura, and you have a good evening.
Wait, I actually had one more thing.
Yes, go right ahead.
I'm sending out letters regarding vaccines. If your child isn't up to date with their vaccines, there's a big push to get all our kids vaccinated. The DOH doesn't want an outbreak of any other infectious diseases. So I've done some research, and you might get a letter from me saying exactly what your student needs. And it will look like this. Okay, and it will be specific. And if you can just sign and return it to me, we will be doing a vaccine clinic at Jenks on June 2nd. Okay, this is
Okay.
just for mandatory vaccines, not for COVID.
All right. La enfermera dice que ella le va a enviar como una carta. Así que esperen a recibir esa carta. Tiene que ver con las vacunas en generales. All right,
And
thank you.
if you're not sure about whether or not your student needs a vaccine, you can call me at the school. We can go over what your student needs. Okay?
I'll call. Thank you.
All right, President Phoebe.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for a wonderful year.
Thank you, Nurse Maura.
For all your cooperation. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. So I am going to present the next slide. This is just an update to the RICAS that the students have just recently finished taking. It's just an open forum that I wanted to leave out because, as a parent, I want to know what's next, right? What to expect. Is it finished? It's the end of the year. So, Dr. Francisco, I'm hoping that you can help guide this open forum for RICAS. So now that the students have finished testing, what should we expect? Are the results coming next year?
That's correct. So we're finishing up our testing this month. Okay, we'll be done by the end of the month. And we had a different strategy this month in terms of how we were going to test. We're trying a different strategy to see if that increases our test scores. So you probably have wondered, why is it taking so long? Usually it's done within a week or 2 weeks and everything's done. What we did was we decided to start with our most challenging students first and have them in small groups, okay, to emphasize the seriousness of the test, and instead of having the whole school at once over the loudspeaker and just bang it out complete it within, just a few days. Instead, what we're doing is we're now at the tail end of it. Okay. So we're finishing up those students too that have been absent as well. So the results, you're absolutely right. The results are not going to come out until the next academic year. But we have reason to believe, we have a thesis, an educated guess that says that we will improve. This strategy will help us to improve. So I don't know if you saw the Parent Advisory Committee Facebook page, but our school was recognized by Governor McKee. Not only our school, there were a few others, but it just talked. It basically recognized us for unknown caller. It recognized us for achievement. There was an increase in our scores, just enough that it gained us attention at the state level, among the whole state. And these are the strategies that we're using. We're trying to personalize the learning more, and the way we test as well. We're stretching it out and focusing on small groups at a time. So yes, I hope that I really do hope that this works out. And of course, parents at home, I'm sure that some of you have been encouraging your child to take it seriously, because it is a significant test.
Does any parents have any questions about the RICAS testing? And Dr. Francisco, I think it's brilliant that it's broken up into smaller groups. Actually, I didn't even know about that.
That was an idea. Mr. Lazareski, the principal, working with the teacher leader, Mr. Andrew Leverly.
Okay.
So, they looked at in the other two administrators. So they brainstormed. They said, wow, what can we do to even try to increase the score just even a little bit?
That's awesome.
Yep.
I think we have Christian who has a question. Go right ahead.
Hi, yes, good evening. My daughter is new to the Jenks school. She just started in March, and we're also new to Rhode Island. So is the testing that you're talking about, is this something that's a requirement for students to graduate? Is this just to kind of test the school and see where the kids are learning, or what is the end result for the test? Thank you.
So that's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that question. The Rhode Island Comprehensive Assessment System, the whole state, the public schools in the whole state of Rhode Island have to take this on an annual basis in these grades, the middle school grades and the elementary grades. The high school, they use the SAT, okay, as a mandatory test. So the high school's a little different, okay? So it's not to graduate, because there's no graduation at this level, but yes, all students have to take it unless there's an exemption. If a student, for example, has a special exemption where they're exempt from taking it, and that's a very small minority. And yes, so in terms of what it measures, it's measuring literacy and also numeracy, and we also have science, the science test as well. So it's going to measure what students what have they learned from, what's the difference from last year to this year, and growth. And it also measures the school as well, as they compile it and they look at the test scores on a holistic level to see if there's been impact as well. And the parents will get, and the students will get a personalized report as to what it means, where the child where the child lays in terms of the academic achievement, measured against national standards. Good question.
Do we have any other parents who have questions? Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over the next slide. So as of recent, I've actually just joined. I don't know if you can see my screen. Sorry, bear with me one moment. Okay, I'll have to do this again. Bear with me just a moment.
Take your time. And if you just joined us after the initial introduction, we had an introduction, then we started to record. I want to congratulate the parents that are here tonight. It speaks volumes about what your expectations are for you, your family, the student, and also for the school, and this parent advisory committee. It speaks volumes, and I want to thank you for being here today.
Okay, so hopefully that will pop up eventually. I'm getting a notification that it's sharing, but it's not sharing my screen. But I can move forward. I don't want to fuss too much.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get it up for you. Okay.
Oh,
there
there
it
we
is.
go. I think there's just a lag in
Yeah.
in the network. So okay, so as of recent, I've actually joined the community advisory board for Pawtucket. So that advisory board meets on a quarterly basis, and actually, Dr. Francisco, they did identify that Jenks is one of the 3 schools that is currently in intervention, and part of our goal this year will be to get the ratings up for Jenks and the other 2 schools. For me personally, because I'm very involved in Jenks, my personal goal, especially for the PAC this year, is to really use my position in the CAB to really kind of unify that position with this with the PAC together. So whatever I can do, I'm going to be really stepping it up this year, especially the upcoming year, knowing that the school is actually part of this intervention with the Department of Education. So I do see the needs, and I've already come up with a couple of ideas, actually. So I'm looking forward to getting, more involved. So a couple of things that just had come to mind. I know that we have, or Dr. Francisco, you have the campaign for attendance currently. So really putting more attention to that. I think that's going to be the next the driving force to bringing the students back, getting them more engaged. So that's going to be like number 1. Of course, the RICAST is always priority because we want our students to fall in the best ratings for testing. So we need to figure out, how to get our RICAST ratings or scores up. And it's actually really, really, really good to see or hear about the subdividing the into groups, because I've never really heard of that before, and that's actually a great idea. I feel like it's less pressure on the students, and it actually caters to the teachers to be able to support the smaller groups, I should say. Student and parent engagement is going to be very, very important during this time. Just like Dr. Francisco had mentioned earlier on in the very beginning of this call, it's going to be pertinent. In the prior years, our engagement was, I would say, excusable, because we were transitioning from like in and out of COVID and different policies. But now that we have kind of like a stake in this now, it really needs to change. We really need to become more involved. It's our students, This is our students and their future and the school's future for other students. So Dr. Francisco, for the prevention part in this chart, for the campaign for the fifth grade opportunities, for Henry J. Winters, I actually am very close because I volunteer for that school as well. So I volunteer for both my children's school. I work very closely with Miss Sermian, who's actually also on the CAB board, on the CAB meetings. And we want to partner together because in the winter side, they found that was also a challenge for the fifth graders. They didn't get like any welcoming package or anything going into sixth grade. And that's not just at Jenks, but just in general for the students. So she wants to partner up with me before the school year ends this year, so that way we can set up or better prepare fifth graders for transitioning to the sixth grade.
I agree on that. That's a very, we need to do that.
I know we've been trying for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's difficult because of the regulations, but now that the regulations have are less strict, I should say, I think it would make more sense to really just like go for it.
Maybe have them come over and do a tour, the last week before they leave.
Yes.
I think that's important. That sounds like a great idea.
And as much as I'm requesting that the students and parents are very engaged, we need to also find out how teachers can be more engaged too.
Okay.
Because I'm finding, I haven't met all. And so far the teachers that I have met, they've been so involved and tremendous in my son's life. And I would really, really like to know more of the different faculty. So it's not just, my kids, that are impacted. This is all kids in Jenks. So definitely want to spread my attention and, see how I can personally engage the faculty more.
Agreed.
Because building those relationships are going to be very important from parents to from parents to teachers and teachers to students and vice versa. Christian,
I guess I can speak. Just let Miss Santo. She's a teacher leader as well here, but she's more of she's a building delegate for the teachers. So I think I'll share that sentiment with her and see, what she thinks about how to go about that. How can we get to know, I know face-to-face is important. How can that happen? So when I came in 2019 and 2020, the name of this body this venue here was the PTO, which stands for Parent Teacher Association. But teachers were burnt out, and not really, I don't think they weren't attending our meetings. And so I don't know if it's something maybe just similar to parents, the schedule. Maybe there's some strategies, maybe.
And we probably don't have to meet all the time. If they want to meet on a quarterly basis, we can, or monthly, we could do that and, see what their needs are, because I'm sure they have needs as well.
Yeah.
And it's like my job, where I work at, we have all these different departments and we all have ideas, but until we come together and really come up with a plan and, figure out how we all interact and how our job descriptions interact, we really can't build a good foundation.
Mm-hmm. I think Christian Morris.
Yes. Christian, do you have a question?
Hi, yes. It was just a question, comment, idea. At my daughter's old school, now actually a lot of schools, we're from Boston. A lot of schools in our area would do kind of like welcome back to school cookouts or like end of the year cookouts, and it would give the it was open to both the students and their families. So it'd give an opportunity for the faculty and parents to kind of meet outside of the traditional school setting. The parents could talk to teachers, tour the school, get to meet other new students, other parents that have kids in the same grade, and kind of everyone to kind of all come in together. I don't know if that's something that you guys do in Rhode Island or something you'd be open to, but it's always been a lot of fun. My daughter's loved going since she was in kindergarten up until, 5th grade. She's always loved them. She gets to see her friends from last year, meet new kids that are going to be in her class in school. The teachers get to, kind of hang out with the students as they watch them kind of, year after year grow up. So just a suggestion.
That
I
is
don't want to. I don't want to steal President Phoebe's thunder. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Christian, I'm actually from Boston too, and we definitely have that or had that. When I was, in the Boston public systems, we actually just had I don't know if it's an end of year, but it's more of like a block party at Henry J. Winters. But we do something similar for the end of the year at Jenks. So last year we had all of the students come to United Skates. Sorry, I always mess up their name. United Skates, and we did that as an end of year celebration. And we actually are in the next slide. We have another end of year plan. So, glad that you're actually joining, so that way you get a little bit more of how we get the families to be engaged at the end of the year. Now, the challenge is, how do we get 5th grade engagement into the 6th grade, into that 6th grade transition, because that's the big challenge where what I'm seeing. And I'm taking it more on a personal level, because when my son was in 5th grade going into 6th grade, they did remote, and it was very difficult. And then I think 7th grade, they transitioned without knowing the school, and they only knew 6th grade as remote. So it was really hard for him to transition. He's doing really well now. But just,
Have you guys ever done something kind of like, I know at one of my daughter's schools, they did kind of like a buddy program. So like or a mentoring program where the incoming 5th graders would get to maybe mentor the 6th graders that are going into 7th grade, kind of give them a lay of the land type of thing, where they could kind of, the 6th grade, it would kind of help the older kids learn how to mentor and kind of establish a bond. And then that way, when the new kids come to school, they at least have that one friend that they made that kind of showed them the ropes.
Dr. Francisco, that right there is a really good idea. I'm not sure if you have anybody that can help us at the school do like a welcome buddy program. In my job, we actually just started something similar called New Hire Buddies. So like anybody who's coming or onboarding, we have to partner them up with a senior member of the team, so that way for the first 30 days that they have somebody that they can lean on. So that would actually, I know I did something similar. We didn't have like a buddy, but we had like a class to class type of introduction when I was in the Boston public schools. We actually sat in a class when we were scoping out like this, where we were going to go for middle school. So we had different, because in Boston there's different middle schools or different schools in every district. So I remember being in elementary school, visiting like the 3 middle schools within our district, and just sitting in.
I did the same thing. And I remember too, in 5th grade, some of the middle school students came to us. So like students from like the basketball team, they would bring over like someone from the basketball team, someone from the step squad, someone that was at ROTC, to kind of show like all the different, so it works good like either way, like whether you get a group of kids that like do a presentation on the school and they travel to another school, or vice versa, we bring the new students to us. But I think both both scenarios work great and really form that kind of close connection that sometimes middle school kids, they really need it. And sometimes I feel like they don't get it. They're so ready to be teenagery.
Yeah, and it's, you know what, even just coming in, transitioning into like a new school, even if you don't know the person, just seeing a familiar face, like, hey, I saw like that person present.
Right, exactly.
Kind
Because
of
that's been my daughter's kind of struggle. The first week was really, really rough for her. Like, it's a new school, a new state, a new area, in the
level.
middle of the school, right in the middle of the school year. And so I think she would have definitely benefited from having kind of like a buddy or a kind of mentor that could kind of help ease her into the transition.
Is she in the 6th grade?
She's in the 7th grade. She's in Miss Mahan's class. She has an IEP. She's in Miss Mahan's class.
I was just gonna say, feel free to partner her up with my son. He's one of like the friendliest in the school.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. We definitely will.
But if we can have a couple of student volunteers, Dr. Francisco, or even teacher volunteers, and if it cannot be done at the school, if we can bring those volunteers to like all the elementary schools, in Pawtucket, that would really, I think that would be a game changer.
Yeah, let me run this. This is a great idea. We were actually thinking about this before the COVID. We had this on our radar to do something similar to this. First thing, say it.
No, I was just gonna say, because you guys did start off the 6th grade where we went to the school and we like got to meet the teacher during the drive. It was like a drive-through, and they were giving out like, they said you were like yellow team or green team, and you got to meet the teacher at the car.
Yes, we had a drive-through. Yeah. One of the things that like just comes to my mind as was it Christian Morris, as she was speaking. If you go to our website, I don't know if you've been able to go to the Jenks Middle School website. I believe it's under the families tab. There's a welcoming video there by 3 students, and they are welcoming in the incoming 6th graders. And one of the ideas she was speaking was like to get those 3 students, actually there were 4, but one left. Yeah, to actually do something like to go to the elementary school and maybe they could do a presentation, because they're going into 8th grade, but I don't think that there will be an issue, to see them in the school. When you do a tour of Jenks Middle School, you'll notice that there are also monitors all around, and we have that welcoming video up. So when you see those actual students walking around, it's a pleasant to see a familiar face. So yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to see what we can do to make that happen. Go next door and see if they can present to those students, and also linking them up with a welcoming buddy.
Yes. Feel free to use Orlando, Dr. Francisco. He's really well known in Henry J. Winters. So
all right.
Send him over there.
All right.
And he'll be going into 8th grade next year, so it's perfect.
That sounds good. So the welcoming buddy, when would that take place in the initial contact? When would you envision that? Those students.
A welcome buddy would be nice to have, especially the first week of their school. Like maybe even like the first day or two, just to kind of get a good lay of the land. Because Jenks is very big. Yeah.
All right.
And the setup is so different from the elementary schools.
Yeah. Just so you're aware. So 6th grade, okay. We tried something new this year, and it has really worked out. And has it impacted? We wanted to make an impact on instruction, learning, and focus, and also decrease our number of disciplinary referrals, because that is an actual metric, okay, that is used, okay, disciplinary referrals, suspensions, those stuff. So to mitigate negative behavior, what we did was we had the 6th grade with minimal movement. They moved, but not every time the bell rang. Okay, so they moved a little bit, so it resembled a little bit more of elementary, so it wasn't such a shock. And to our pleasant, I don't want to say surprise, because we did have a theory that it would work and it would make an impact. It made an absolute impact. The students seemed calm in the transition. They didn't, we didn't get complaints. Parents seemed to be okay with it. We didn't get, negative feedback about that. And the teachers also like that. So teachers, the science teacher would come in and then leave, and then maybe another teacher would come in. Obviously for physical ed, the students would, leave the classroom. The other thing we did was we had lunch in the classroom every other week. So that also worked out well. What we're thinking about doing is doing that also for the 7th grade, okay, to see how that works out. We have reason to believe that that's going to also make a positive impact. So if you would kindly indulge and let us, experiment on that, we think it's going to make an impact on not only the culture of the school, school culture and climate of the school, but also we think it's going to make an impact on instruction and academic achievement. Okay, so I just wanted to share that idea. I don't know if I had shared that with you. Okay, so that's been an idea that we've been having. I don't know if it's been solidified yet for the 7th grade, but it's just an idea. I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry. I was saying that actually makes complete sense, because if you think about it, they're 8th grade, their final year, they should feel more empowered, feel more responsible. So it would be like a good segue to be like, hey, because you are going into 8th grade, you'll be expected to be able to go and follow this this module.
I've been writing the notes down here, what you've been saying. I'm sure the minutes too are going to be also publicized and shared. Yes. But I want to take this feedback immediately to the administrative team. They're going to be busy tomorrow. We're all going to be busy tomorrow and the next day with the ride visit. But first week in June, I'll share this with them and see how can we logistically make this happen. Because it's not just us. It's not just a flick of a switch. We have to work with the host, the other schools as well. So, and that takes coordination. We can't impose our scheduling. We have to work together. We need people to step up to the plate and kind of help with that. Maybe guidance counselors and other people. All right. So, yes, we hear you and thank you for those ideas. We want to try to build this culture, and I think those ideas are excellent. Let's see if we can materialize those ideas. The cookout, excellent. We're going to have a cookout here already. That is for the students and the staff. But what you're saying, and I said I don't want to steal Phoebe and Vania's thunder. They had this. This was an agenda item. They spoke about this. They said, what can we do? And the ideas that they had, and I don't think she mentioned this. They do it in Boston, but they had a plan to possibly do this at like Slater Park on a Saturday. So it's not on school grounds. Anyone, I would be responsible for communicating sending text out, email, telephone calls, and getting a survey as to how many people, and trying to see in terms of money and resources, what we need, the food and the drinks, what do we need to make this happen?
And that would be actually a good way to invite the 5th graders to, and I think we did mention that.
Okay, maybe we can do it in August, maybe first week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Even in July, who knows? Maybe we can do it. I don't know. We'll see.
We won't know. I don't even know when the school knows when they get who is on their roster for 5th grade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, she's right. And in terms of attendance, what I did was I reached out to the school next door because that's where most of our kids come from. And I asked who are the students with the chronic absenteeism, and what we'll do is we'll try to meet with them and talk with them, and to really focus on them so that it's an even smoother transition. Well, I'll work with them, in August.
I love that idea, actually. Can we, is it possible to do the same with other schools?
Absolutely.
I think there's
Yeah.
two other elementary schools, right?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Perfect. If you need my help, Dr. Francisco, you know where to get me.
Absolutely.
Especially at Winters.
All right. Sounds good.
So I am going to go forward because we only have a few more minutes with the plans for the end of the year. So I know we wanted to really plan out the end of year event. So I'm not really too sure where we left off last. Vania, I don't believe is on right now. So I'll have to catch up with her about Slater Park and, how to occupy that space. I think most public parks, you just, depending on the size of the event, I think you only need a permit, and usually there's a fee for for the maintenance person, and it's usually between like $50 to like $100. Again, all depending on the size of your party.
Yep.
But I believe like renting out that space is usually free. And if we're lucky enough to do it on a day that the food trucks are there, we don't have to rent out any vendors because the vendors will be there already. So I will reach out to Vania and see where we left off last there. But Dr. Francisco, I don't know if there's any. I don't even know when the last day of school is. I think Orlando told me it was June 21st.
Yeah. So the last day of school, I'm going to put up a calendar on our screens.
I will stop presenting.
Let me see if I can get that calendar for us. Okay, hold on a second. So you'll see it.
While you pull up the calendar.
Yep.
I just want to just say, I don't know if there's any room for other events. I was thinking like after school events, but we're really pressed on. I think we have like 2 more months left. Not even.
Let me share this with you. So you can get if you can get a visual. Sometimes it sticks when you get a visual.
Yes.
Okay.
We have
Share my entire screen.
4 weeks. We have 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it's basically the 22nd. But
Yeah.
let me just share my screen.
So 4 weeks to me equals 2 more meetings of the parent advisory committee.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes, now I can.
All right. So the students approached me and they want another rewarding event
Yes.
where students with attendance, with good behavior, and those, academic achievement is up. They want a Super Smash Bros. Reward event again.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a segment of students, but there are other segments of students that are not into that. So I don't know if a karaoke is in here or a movie or something. It is.
I was just gonna say, what about a movie night? Like maybe with like a projector in the screen out, like this, like the basketball court or somewhere flat, and do like outdoor movie night for the kids or something.
We've done movie day. We have had movie day and karaoke, karaoke after school, as well as Smash Brothers the reward event. Dr. Francisco, do you want to put out a survey to the kids? Because I'm thinking June 10th, if you wanted, we could do either one. So we could do like a movie day, a movie or karaoke day, or whatever the kids want, whatever they find more rewarding. I don't want to pick for them because this is something that they should want.
Yeah. So we purchased a huge screen. It is huge. we have an amphitheater here.
Mhm.
All right. So I don't know if you saw it, Ms. Morris, Mrs. Morris. Um, we have a
Mhm.
huge amphitheater here where 300 plus people.
And we have a popcorn maker.
Yep. So yeah, so the movie night we're scheduling that. We were hoping to schedule that for September, October, when sunset is, not 9 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
So we can enjoy it. Um, the 16th, we have 8th grade dinner dance at La Foyer. And on Friday, the following day, 8th grade Lincoln Woods Field Day. And just to reiterate what President Phoebe just said, there's a small fee, at Lincoln Woods, but if you wanted it there, or you wanted it, you wanted to be in Pawtucket, because Pawtucket students go to Pawtucket, we can certainly have it here as well. And then on the 20th is the cookout for students and the staff during the day, and the last day of school is on Tuesday, 21st. So June 10th, I can send that survey out.
Alexis 11.
Sorry about that. I have to go. That's why my phone is. Someone's trying to get in contact with me. But before I leave, I wanted to talking about survey. I don't know if I can share this information with you. Is this possible?
Go right ahead, Dr. Francisco.
All right. So I got that. I don't want to leave without sharing this information. I want to thank the parents for actually taking this survey, which the principal actually, he and I, we sat together and we said, okay, let's get some information for parents. Here are the questions. So Jenks parent workshop presentations are interesting and relevant. 42 plus 33%, basically always and most of the time, and 15% sometimes. Jenks home visits are supportive and cordial. Now, some people ask me, well, what does that mean, Jenks home visits? So we conduct home visits for students that are on the chronic absenteeism list, who it's basically home visit is like one of at the end, the tail end, when, we've done all these interventions, conferences and letters and text and family meetings. So most of the school, 40 plus percent, doesn't even apply to them, actually. But 40% always and 10% most of the time. So then two more questions. Jenks social media, our websites, Facebook, Twitter are informative and up to date. 46 plus 32% of parents said always and most of the time, and 14% sometimes. And Jenks student support, that is in-person, phone, text, email, are supportive and cordial. 67 plus basically 20% says always and most of the time. And I want to say like 10% says sometimes. So just wanted to share that with you. We got a lot of extra information from like written feedback from parents. I just wanted to share that with you. Okay. So we're making strides in terms of the communication, the culture, and the climate of the school. We still have a lot of work to do though. And I think Ms. Morris raised her hand.
Sorry, I have another question. Are the home visits, is that a part of like disciplinary action, or?
There are some disciplinary, a very small fraction. That's when we have to go to the home because the parent, we can't contact the parent for one reason. They're not responsive on the telephone. So, the principal may ask us to go, but 99.9% is supportive. It's to have a dialogue, and we start off basically as to, we share like a printout of the grades, the report card, face to face. Sometimes at the home is more supportive. So, and sometimes we make a home visit and we don't have a conversation, but we leave refrigerator magnet with our contact information, and a door hanger, which helps out. It shows that we care. Just want to remind parents to incentivize your student to wear the Jenks t-shirt tomorrow and Wednesday. We're offering the students 50% off the school store, which is a fundraiser for the students. All those proceeds go back to the students, and for the school, So and because Ride is coming tomorrow, we thought listen, let's just make it, and it's warm now. That's what we wanted to do anyway. The reason why we bought the purchased the complimentary T-shirts was for to build the culture and climate of the school. On the back of the T-shirt, it says attendance counts, and it says be here, attendance counts. So the TENS campaign is on different items in the school, like T-shirts, pens, on the screens, Yes. I don't know if it's Mrs. Morris or Ms. Morris. I don't know. How would you like to be called? I'm sorry. I don't want to offend you. I don't know if she heard me.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I forgot to turn my mic on.
Oh, it's okay.
I hope I'm not being annoying. My daughter, again, is new, so we don't have a Jinx shirt. Where can we purchase one at?
All right. So she's new. She didn't get one. Every student got a complimentary shirt. Just tell her to come down to the main office, and we'll take care of her. She can ask.
Perfect.
You can ask for me, Dr. Francisco.
Okay, I will definitely do that. Thank you.
What's your daughter? I'm sorry. What's your daughter's name?
Her name is Sarani. She's in Miss Mahan's class.
Sarani. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very good. Is she independent enough to come and seek me here at the main office and like tell a teacher, or does she need me to go to the class?
You'd either have to go to the class, or Miss Mahan might have to tell her, because she's still new and learning the building, I think.
Okay. All right. What size is she?
My daughter's almost 6 feet, so she's probably like a 2X.
Okay. I'll get that to her.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And you're not annoying. We need you to speak more and less talking from me.
I just feel like I'm so behind because I don't know any of these things because we just got here. So I feel like I'm like holding up the meeting playing catch up. Sorry.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And Christian, in the next slide, I'm not sharing the slide anymore. Is our email address. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And there's also Dr. Francisco, who you can reach out to directly. I'm telling you, he is like a one-man band. Like, he does everything for the school, and he's my number one resource.
Well,
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You may have gotten some messages from me, text, email, phone call. If you didn't get those, then I need to make sure that you get those, okay?
Yes, I've definitely been getting the emails and the text messages, and I get the automated phone calls as well.
Okay, perfect. And So, and if you need, see, I'm like the face of the school, but I'm who does the work is really, the administrators and the teachers assistants, the administrative assistants, they're like machines. They're constantly working for your student. So, I don't want to take the credit. As you saw, Nurse Maura, she came here. She came to this meeting voluntarily. She said, "What can I do? I want to meet with the parents. I have some important information." So, anytime, and you're not annoying. So please, you can hit us up anytime. You can interrupt me anytime.
And I see that my screen is not coming up again. So I'm just gonna, Christian, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave the email address in the chat. And I got it right. So it's josephjenks@gmail.com. and I believe my contact information is also in the on the school's website. So if you have any questions, parent to parent, feel free to reach out to me.
And President Phoebe, she's very diplomatic, but she sends the message home. So she's gonna take your message, and if you want, confidentiality is unless you don't want to be, say, if you want your name mentioned, it's fine. But she's confidential, she's diplomatic, but she doesn't hold the message back. She delivers the message, and that's why she's on the community advisory board. This is President Phoebe and Vice President Vania are very important people in this community. You really, I mean, I don't. They are your representative, and they don't get paid for this. By the way, they've invested so many hours. I can't even count the hours that they've invested. If you look at the calendar, they had a packed agenda this year. They were meeting every other week. Now, I don't know any parent advisory committee or PTA, and if you notice, Phoebe and Vania. They're the ones who are uh, uh, actually putting the agenda and the PowerPoint together and the minutes. So I mean, and they don't get paid for this. So and they're working for you. So that's more, and that's more of the reason why the parents that are here today, if you could, get involved a little bit more in terms of getting on the team. What can I do, Phoebe? Send her a message. What, Vanya? What can I do to help you out? Because a lot of the administrative work has been on their backs, and and they're going to be gone. And then all of a sudden, there's going to be there's going to be a vacuum. I don't want to see that. We don't want to see a vacuum. Thank God that we have her other child who's coming, who's
So yeah, me for a couple more years.
if we didn't have her, yeah. So it's good when you have two or more students from the same family.
I think Vanya's other child is also in the same grade. So I think they're transitioning right over in the 6th grade at the same time too. It's just meant to be. You're stuck with us, Dr. Francisco.
Not complaining. All right, I have to go because I have to take this.
Go right ahead, Dr. Francisco. I'll close up.
Okay. Just let me know if there's anything else. Just you know where to email me. Okay. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. So I went ahead and posted the email address in the chat. Again, if you are interested in volunteering in any capacity, it doesn't need to be anything specific, or even especially for the events that we throw, we need a lot of parent volunteers for those days, especially if we can get this cookout going for the students. That would be wonderful to get parent volunteers, because we want we want it not just to be for the students, but we want this to be more community based. So feel free to please reach out to me. Again, if you can't reach me there, my personal email is actually on the school website, or you can reach out to Dr. Francisco and he'll relay the message, vice versa. If you have any questions and you can't reach anybody, usually I'll get an email from a parent and I'll shoot Dr. Francisco a text message and say, hey, can you reach out to this person? Or I'll reach out to Nurse Maura, and I'm like, hey, can you reach out to this parent? They have this question. So feel free to utilize me as your resource for the school or even for the city. Anybody have questions before we close out? All right, so not this week, but oh yes. Hi, Melissa. Go ahead.
Sorry. Question on the events that are coming up. Would you guys usually send out a like a sign up list?
We do. So Dr. Francisco usually sends out a survey first. From that survey, then whoever wants to participate, we usually post up flyers in the school, but he sends the flyers via email and by the robocall.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat one more time? You're just breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
You're still breaking up. I'm sorry, Melissa. Would you be able to put your question in the chat? So while we wait for Melissa, I do again want to reiterate that the flyers are typically sent out by email and through a robocall, and there's posters that's usually posted on the walls in the school. I don't know if Dr. Francisco sends them physically with the students, but in the past we've seen them um, usually in the emails. We usually post it at least 3 times, the week before, 3 days before, and then the day before is usually the cadence to when we how we send or when we send those the flyers. Now for the school events, so events that are through the school and not through the parent advisory committee, those again will be sent by Dr. Francisco and not really through this meeting. So we are like separate entities, but we work together. So for the school-based events where it's just the students and parents don't come along and it's done during school hours, I believe those are also sent by email and the robocalls. And I'm not really 100% sure if they send out physical flyers. Oh, thank you, Melissa. If you don't receive emails or haven't been receiving any emails or phone calls, feel free to email that Joseph Jenks PAC at Gmail. Let me know. I'll let Dr. Francisco know to sign you up for emails and phone calls. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, great. So again, not this week, but the following Monday, I will see you all at 5:30. So we have 2 more meetings. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.